365 Days of Horsemanship, day 276. As you can tell, my voice is even worse today. But had quite a nice session with both horses. I spent about half an hour with Florence. Actually it was really interesting, even though definitely the midgies are still out and about today. He was much less obsessive about me and the midgets, which was really nice. It was really interesting actually, because I think today I could obviously tell his stress was a little bit higher because of the fact that there are all these midgies. And the way I could tell that is the fact that he was really just pretty much in this self-focus where he's either eating the grass or he's thinking about his midges or his itches or the flies or whatever. And so I kind of felt like I had two kind of options. After I was there for about 5 minutes, and I kind of noticed that, this is the way that it is today. Option one was to work on the handprint game at touching distance, because that's a thing where I can accept really small focus changes, and very small focus changes are a thing that is achievable for Lawrence today. The second option was the option to basically walk until a big focus change happened to a different category. So herd or environment, because at the moment we're stuck in self with a little bit of leader, being either me or him. And I chose the touching distance because I felt that the walking was going to be too hard for me today, because it was going to be too long. And it was slightly frustrating because it was this feeling of like, initially I felt like I was like, oh, this is what I should do. But actually, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. And I think that I'm really trying at the moment to work with the flow. Like I think it's made a big impression on me. But I think really the one key thing I took away from Elsa's in February, being there for a month, is everything is an association. That is the fundamentals of it. Training is building associations. And when I think about the associations I want my horse to have, I also think about the associations that I want to have, how that impacts my energy, how that impacts the way that I attempt a situation, how it impacts my optimism, how it impacts my ability to be in a learning frame of mind. I remember many years ago I watched a clinic by Tick Maynard. He talked about the learning frame of mind and how if a horse's stress is too high, you might be able to achieve a task, but you're not actually going to learn anything. The horse isn't going to remember or learn anything from that experience. And I think that actually that's something that I'm taking forward now into myself as well, where pushing myself to achieve something for the sake of saying that I did it, firstly, I'm not necessarily going to be present in that experience. My timing's not going to be as good, my feel isn't going to be as good, and I'm not going to be really engaging in the process to get the full extent of the learning out of it that I could. And secondly, it doesn't build good associations for me to be doing something that feels really difficult. Like if I make this hard work, it's going to feel like hard work. And then I'm constantly reinforcing the association that it's difficult, when actually what I want to reinforce is this association that it's easy, that it's joyful, that I love doing it, that it's fun, that I feel good when I'm doing it, and I want my horses to feel the same way. And if I am a leader, then I want to be displaying that kind of energy and that kind of body language in myself. So I chose the path of least resistance, and I went with the touching distance. And yeah, it went nicely. I wouldn't say there was a amazing moment where I went, oh yeah, it was so worth it. But I did get lots of nice little moments, lots of nice little blowouts, and it felt really repeatable and consistent that I could be at the touching distance, handprint in a certain place, then there would be a small focus change and I could move to the next place. And excuse me, I was getting really kind of tired, and I looked at my phone, and I'd been there for half an hour, and I thought, you know what, actually I think I'm okay just leaving it as it is. I'll wait for the next little focus change and I'll go. And so what I actually ended up doing was I waited for the next little focus change, I had a couple breaths of flow, and then I went and actually touched my hand to his nose. Well, I offered my hand, he touched his nose to my hand, and I left on that and sort of went and said, hey, goodbye. And yeah, I was really happy. I think it was definitely, again, I think, you know, when I consider even my energy during the sort of easier of the two options for me, I think it was definitely the right choice to go with something that was going to help me feel successful, because it's really important to feel successful ultimately when you're doing this work. And so yeah, so I came down to Mia, brought her up, put her in the arena. Oh my god, it's like heaven not having to do any plats. It's like, oh, so quick and easy. I think because it's been so choppy for me recently, I've had these long periods of time, like a week or a couple of weeks, where I've not been here. I feel like I've done so many plats recently, because like every time I see her, her plats need doing. So it was like such a treat today not to have to do them. And yeah, so I took her in the arena. We're working on, first time ever working on trot transitions with this sideways game, where I'm like sidewaysing into transitions. And yeah, that was really nice. I had a couple really nice moments, one really nice moment each side, and that was really nice. I'm really excited to keep practicing that. Yeah, it was definitely really interesting. And then I had a really nice little, just like literally 5-minute ride, where I noticed something really important, which was actually, if I just focus on my body and I'm really focusing on my balance, where I am and what I want to be doing, everything flows. And I think I need to do that a lot more. I feel like she's going to be the horse that really teaches me that lesson, because with Mia, I think it's really easy to get distracted by all the things that she might do and all the unexpected unpredictableness that she might do. But actually, by not being balanced and not being in control of myself, not kind of like taking care of my side of the bargain, then actually I'm making it more likely she's going to be unpredictable and do these things. Like, I found that actually when I really focused on myself and I was really thinking about like where my body was at, where my hand is at, where my leg is at, what side of my thigh I'm using to put pressure on, and what, like, is my hand up or out or somewhere in the middle, or like how am I feeling, like where am I looking, are my eyes soft, am I looking up, is my back straight, are my shoulders back and relaxed, like all these things. Actually, I found that I was much more aware of where her body was moving anyway. She didn't seem as unpredictable to me so much. Those moments flowed much better, rather than her getting agitated because I've done too much or too little of something, usually too much, and then me getting agitated trying to do something else to rebalance myself and rebalance her, which also ends up being too much, and then it becomes even more unpredictable and we all get tight. And so that was a really good lesson. And again, it was like one of those moments where I was just like, oh, I really want to like come back and just ride again and again and again, you know, just 5 minutes, just like, yes, that was really nice. Yeah, and then had a nice little 5 minutes just in freedom. In freedom, we've got this nice draw towards with the trot, and then the problem is getting her to stop without running me over. It's turning into a bit of a pattern, where if she's able to stop at a good distance, then the next thing that ends up happening is that I scratch her. I'm just not quite sure how I feel about that. I think it's a slightly risky game. I think I need to quite quickly start waiting for a focus change before there's scratches. And maybe I need to help her with that. So we'll try that next time. And then we may need to, even though it's very easy, we may need to stop working on that until I can think of a better solution than it ending up being a scratching thing, because otherwise I'm just going to end up with a horse that runs to me for scratches, which is not what I want. But overall, it was a really nice day. Yeah, really feeling like I'm settling back into the new normal of the horse life, really appreciating the weather, loving the sunshine, loving the daylight. Oh, it's just blissful. I'm so appreciative. So yeah, long may it continue.